Rain hammered the triple canopy jungle like 1,000 machine guns, turning the earth into a sucking mire that gripped boots and swallowed whispers. It was 2:17 a.m., March 14, 1968, in the dense green hell of Phuoc Tuy Province, South Vietnam. Nguyen Van Thuc, a battle-hardened Viet Cong platoon leader with 3 years of ambushing Yankee convoy under his belt, froze mid-step. The air reeked of rot and cordite, but something else cut through, a faint, unnatural silence. No birds, no insects, just the patter of rain and his own pounding heart. Then, from the blackness ahead, a single twig snapped. Not broke, snapped, deliberate, like a predator toying with prey. Thuc's AK-47 jerked up, his finger whitening on the trigger. "Phu! Phu!" he hissed to his men, eyes darting through the vines. But before the second man could respond, hell erupted. Not with the roar of American artillery or the chopper blades of their gunships, but with the crisp, surgical crack of suppressed rifles. Bodies dropped like felled bamboo, throats slit before they hit the mud. Thuc fired blindly into the void, his rounds chewing leaves but hitting nothing. A shadow materialized inches from his face, gloved hand clamping his mouth as a blade pressed cold against his jugular. "Quiet now, mate," a voice growled in accented English, thick with Aussie grit. Thuc's world went black, not from death, but from a chloroform rag that smelled of eucalyptus and death. How could this be? The Americans thundered through the jungle like drunken elephants, their B-52s flattening square miles, their patrols announcing themselves with radios and diesel fumes from the moment they humped in. Yet these ghosts, the Australian SAS, had stalked his unit for 72 hours without a trace, living off dew and termites, painting their faces with mud and charcoal until they were the jungle itself. In a war where firepower ruled, why did the Viet Cong whisper in terror of these 4-man patrols more than the entire U.S. 1st Infantry? This was no fluke. It was the blueprint of fear that turned hardened guerrillas into paranoid who triple-checked their own shadows. From the twisted diaries captured after Tet Offensive, yellowed pages smudged with blood and betel nut spit, Viet Cong commanders confessed a dread that gnawed deeper than any napalm burn. "The Yankees come loud, we hide and wait," one wrote in frantic script. "But the Aussies, they are spiders in the web. We sleep with one eye open, dreaming of eyes watching from the trees." Reports from MACV intelligence, declassified in the 90s, paint the same picture. Over 1,200 SASR insertions in Vietnam from 1966 to 1971, with a kill ratio that made Delta Force blush. Dozens of confirmed Viet Cong dead per contact, often without firing a shot until the trap sprang. Picture it through Thuc's eyes as he awoke bound in a spider hole days later, interrogated by men who moved like smoke. To the Viet Cong, the jungle was home turf, a labyrinth where they melted away from superior firepower. They'd bleed the Americans dry with hit-and-run, booby-trapped trails that turned GIs into limbless wrecks. U.S. tactics were brute symphony, mechanized sweeps with M48 Pattons churning mud, Hueys dumping troops in hot LZs, then calling in Puff the Magic Dragon, AC-47 gunships spitting 6,000 rounds a minute. Effective? Sure. Predictable? Like clockwork. Viet Cong spotters tracked the patterns, the 0900 air cav flyovers, the noon artillery barrages from miles away, slipping snares around the giants' ankles. But the SAS? They flipped the script, shrinking the war to a knife fight in the dark. 4 men, max, call signs like Guppy 1, slipping 50 clicks behind lines on rubber-soled boots wrapped in burlap, packs stripped to 20 kilos of rice, ammo, and claymores. No radios crackling position reports, hand signals and star shots for nav. They'd perch for a week on razor-wire ridges, unmoving, pissing into their canteens to stay silent, watching trails with binoculars etched in phosphor for night. One SAS trooper, in a 1969 after-action report filed to Canberra, noted, "Enemy trail party, 30 strong, VC main force, observed 14 hours, leader carries satchel charge, likely bridging party for NVA armor push, detonation point selected, 50-meter defile, claymores zeroed." Contrast that with Uncle Sam, a company of 120 grunts crashing through with M60s barking at ghosts, leaving a trail of Hershey bars and cigarette butts for Charlie to follow. SAS ops were scalpels to the American sledgehammers. Where U.S. forces lost 58,000 dead chasing shadows, the Aussies notched 500 confirmed kills with under 10 KIA per Australian War Memorial archives. Viet Cong after-action interrogations, buried in CIA Phoenix program files, reveal the paranoia. Patrols doubling back on their own tracks, setting ghost traps for phantoms that never came, until they did. Thuk's platoon wasn't random prey. Intelligence from a Hoi Chan defector, turncoat VC spilling guts for amnesty, had pinpointed their route, resupplying an NVA rocket battery aimed at Vung Tau port. The SAS team, led by Sergeant Ian Digger Mackenzie, pseudonym from declassified logs, had humped 80 clicks from Nui Dat base cross-country, evading their own side's patrols to maintain OPSEC. They dug in 300 meters upslope, camouflaged with ATAP fronds and pig iron stakes. For 36 hours, they watched Thuk's men file past, oblivious, chatting about rice paddies back home. The ambush trigger? Thuk himself lighting a cigarette at exactly EO2 fifth aim, ember glowing like a beacon. In the chaos, 3 VC dead silent killed, garrots and Fairbairn Sykes daggers flashing moonlit steel. Thuk captured alive for intel, rocket sites, tunnel network, NVA infill route. By dawn, the SAS vanished, leaving no tracks, no brass, just bodies that locals whispered were eaten by tigers. Word spread through Coochie tunnels like malaria. The Australians were demons who drank blood and spoke to snakes. One VC company commander in a captured journal dated April 68 scrawled, "We fear not the eagle's claws, but the dingo's fangs in the night. They make us question every rustle." This wasn't just survival. It was psychological warfare etched in sweat and silence. The SAS didn't conquer territory. They conquered minds, proving that in the jungle's heart, 4 men could eclipse armies. But as Thuk spilled secrets under the Aussies' unblinking gaze, a larger storm, the monsoon offensive of '68, where these ghost patrols would tip scales in ways no B-52 ever could. Thuk's wrists burned against the coarse hemp ropes binding him to a bamboo stake in a concealed SAS patrol base, hidden in a ravine where even the leeches seemed too terrified to venture. Dawn's sickly light filtered through the canopy, turning the interrogator's face into a mask of mud-streaked menace. This wasn't some green lieutenant barking question. It was Corporal Mick Ghost Riley, eyes like chipped flint, voice a low rasp honed by outback dust devils, rocket sites and tunnels, talk, or the ants find your balls first. Thuk spat blood-laced phlegm, but his mind raced, not with defiance, but unraveling certainty. How had these 4 demons crossed 80 clicks of enemy territory without a whisper? His own scouts, masters of the Ho Chi Minh Trail, reported nothing. No flares, no dogs barking in the night villages, just absent. From Riley's shadowed vantage, Thuk was a cracked safe, secrets spilling under the weight of isolation. SAS interrogations weren't waterboard symphonies like the CIA's Phoenix crew. They were slow burns, leveraging the jungle's own horrors. Riley had logged it later in a field notebook, now archived in the Australian War Memorial. Subject coherent after 14 hours. Divulged NVA 122 positions at grid YS 456789. Confirmed by aerial recon strike 1800 HRs. But to Thuk it felt eternal. Drip of condensation mimicking torture, distant howls of gibbons sounding like mocking laughter. He broke at hour 12, sketching tunnel mouths on a captured VC map with a stick in the dirt. By dusk, Riley's team exfiltrated, melting upslope as a U.S. firebase hammered the revealed sites with 105s, turning earth to glass. Word of Thuk's ghosting rippled through Viet Cong networks like a fever dream. Captured in frantic entries from Provincial Unit 292's operations log, seized during Operation Coburg in February 68. Patrol 72K vanished, no contact. Suspect Australian silent knives. Double sentries ineffective. Enemy strikes from shadows. Commanders, safe in their Coochie warrens, chewing betel while plotting Tet, now bolted doors with punji stakes inward, their sleep fractured by every rustling frond. One NVA major, Tran Van Min, scribbled in a diary unearthed post-Khe Sanh, "Yankees predictable as rice planting. We evade with earth and patience. But Aussies, they breathe the mist. Last night, heard footsteps in my dreams. Woke to find sentry garroted 20 meters off. Scale the terror. American search and destroy ops were Colossi stomping ants. 1st Cavalry Division's 500-man battalions bulldozing LZ. M113 APCs grinding vines to pulp, followed by Rome plows stripping 10,000 acres monthly for defoliation. VC countered with 500-pound satchel charges on tracks. IEDs laced with ball bearings, bleeding the beast slow. effective until the aircav looped back with napalm petals blooming orange fireballs. But SAS patrols? Microscopic scalpels, 4 and 6 men max, inserted by silent helo at 50-foot hovers or humping from fire bases like Nui Dat. They'd vector on SIGINT chatter, intercepted R-115 radios, pinpointing VC cadre meets, then ghost in, observing for days. No creature comfort. Tinned beef warmed on body heat, water from banana leaves, boots muffled in rice sacks. A 1968 SSR after-action report details Patrol Delta's 11-day stalk. Enemy CP identified. 18 packs, including second-in-command. Ambushes prepped, 2 claymores, front-rear. Overwatch with 7.62 SLRs suppressed. Contrast crushed VC morale. U.S. forces expended 15 million tons of ordnance, enough to pave Texas twice. Yet body counts inflated by goats and civilians. SAS? Precision poetry. One patrol in May 68, per declassified 2nd Commando records, tallied 22 VCKIA from a 4 Claymore salvo on a trail party, 0 Aussie rounds fired until cleanup. Survivors babbled in interrogations archived by the U.S. First Australian Task Force. They wait like crocodiles. We pass, they strike throat. Paranoia metastasized. VC units fragmenting patrols to 2 men, avoiding trails for weeks. Resupply halts spiking starvation. Min's diary confesses, men jump at shadows, refuse night watches, production down 40%, must request Hanoi reinforce with sappers. Thuk's intel lit the fuse for Operation Lion, SASR's masterstroke in the brewing 68 monsoon maelstrom. Riley's team vectored a 12-man troop onto a main force VC regiment, assembling for a push on Long Tan Redux, 1,200 guerrillas massing in the Long High Hills, prepping 107 million rockets for Bien Hoa Air Base. From the VC regimental commander's foxhole, it was apocalypse inverted. Major Leduc An paced his CP, Rain sluicing his pith helmet, barking at radio men. Scouts report clear, push at 0400. But upslope, SAS eyes, Sergeant Mackenzie's recce's had tagged the build-up days prior, sketching formations in waterproof notepads. No call for arty, too imprecise. Instead, surgical seeding. Claymores daisy-chained across goat paths, tripwires tied to Bangalore torpedoes scavenged from NVA dead. At 0342, as An's lead company snaked forward, singing low cadre songs for morale, the world vanished in 200-meter kill zone. Claymores whispered, "Front toward enemy," with metallic thunder, shredding 47 in the first volley, limbs cartwheeling like broken puppets. Survivors bolted into kill sacks, SAS SLRs picking runners with subsonic coughs. Ansh dove into a bomb crater, clutching his Tokarev, screaming for mortars that never came. Their crews already paced. From his mud-choked view, no yelling Yanks, no tracer storms, just death from nowhere, shadows closing with bayonets. Dawn tallied 92 VC dead, 17 captured, regimental HQs rolled up. SAS losses, 1 sprained ankle. May CV SOG fusion reports hailed it. Aussie ambush crippled VC 5th Division offensive, saved Bien Hoa 72 hours. A&H survived, limping to a field hospital where CIA interrogators pried the myth wider. Australians no men, they jungle spirits. We fight ghosts now. His regiment dissolved into cells. Tet momentum shattered. SAS had turned the monsoon from VC tide to Aussie tsunami, 1 fang at a time. But deeper in the green abyss, a boulder hunt stirred. An NVA armored thrust that would test if spiders could snare tigers. Deep in the fetid bowels of the Long High Hills, July 3, 1968, Captain Pham Quang Vinh gripped the rusted rail of his T-54 tank's turret, the diesel growl of his 12-vehicle column vibrating through his bones like an earthquake. Monsoon sheets lashed the column, churning the track into a chocolate river that bogged axles and snapped treads. Vine, NVA 5th Division Armor Commander, with Laotian panther skins sewn to his tunic from prior sweeps, scanned the murk ahead through rain-smeared optic. His mission? Punch through to Route 44, link with VC sappers for a rocket barrage on Nui Dat Firebase. 800 clicks from Hanoi, these were the trail's bleeding edge. PT-76 light tanks and BTR-60 APCs hauling 107-meter Katyushas, 200 sappers crammed inside, singing revolutionary hymns to drown the fear. But tonight, no hymns masked the chill. Whispers from Tet survivors spoke of Australian ghosts who turned tigers into pinned rats. Vin barked into the field phone. Scouts forward, eyes on trees. Remember Phuoc Toi? His lead recon squad, 10 men in black pajamas with AKs slung low, had double-timed ahead an hour prior, flare pistols cocked. Nothing, just the jungle's symphony, croaking frogs, dripping lianas. Yet Vin's gut twisted, a paranoia seeded by Thusi's ghosted platoon and Leduc An's shredded regiment. From captured Yankee mags and Hoi Chan lies, he knew the Americans' playbook: air-cav thunder, arc light carpets, predictable thunder. But these Aussies? Intel scraps from Hanoi Politburo briefs described 4-man devil patrols that severed supply lines like surgical wire cut. One declassified NVA after-action from 68 Long Hai Ops, unearthed in Hanoi archives post-war, quotes Vin's own XO. Enemy armor? No. Shadows with boomsticks. We lost 3 tanks to invisible hands. Through Vin's periscope, the jungle loomed as a living trap. Triple canopy swallowing moonlight, root systems like barbed wire. NVA doctrine was iron fist, massed armor breakthroughs, T-54's 100mm guns pulverizing bunkers, infantry debusking to flood hooches with satchel charges. They'd mauled ARVN columns at Khe Sanh, PT-76 swimming rice paddies under Sagar wire-guided missiles. U.S. response? F-4 Phantoms and 175mm self-propelled guns lobbing 150-pound shells in rolling barrages, turning Earth to craters. Brute calculus, 10 tanks lost for 50 enemy vehicles. But Sassar? They inverted the scale, microscopic versus monolithic. No divisional clashes, surgical insertions via Black Hawk slicks at treetop hover, dumping 4 to 6 troopers 20 clicks inland. Patrols humped blacked out, faces blackened with burnt cork, L1A1 SLRs fitted with thunderflash suppressors, muzzle flash invisible, rounds whispering at 850 ms. Contrast the Colossus, U.S. 1st Armored Cavs M5 and 5-1 Sheridans churned 50-yard corridors, tracks flinging mud geysers, radios blaring chords for Cobra gunships. VC NVA spotters clocked the patterns. Dawn patrols, noon resoups, lacing berms with 500 kiloton mines triggered by tank weight pressure plates. Effective bleed. SAS flipped to predator mode. Per Australian War Memorial SASR logs, Patrol Kilo 9 under Lieutenant Rob Spider Harlan, declassified 92, had vectored on SIGINT pings from Nui Dat. R115 traffic spiking on Iron River movement. Harlan's team inserted July 1st via Midnight Hilo 60 clicks each, paralleled Vin's axis for 48 hours, unmoving on a hogback ridge 400 meters off trail. No heat tabs, sea rats cold, water from vines. They sketched convoy profiles in grease pencil. 12X, T-54, PT-76, 4X BTR, EST, 250 packs, lead tank, white star on turret, Vin CP vehicle. Vin's column lurched forward at 22:45, headlights doused, infrared baffles on. Lead PT-76 sloshed a Ford, sappers cheering. Then, nothing. Silence heavier than the rain. Driver. Comrade Captain, stalled? Vin keyed the mic. Recon, report. Static. From his turret, panic bloom. Not American rockets, but the void. SAS had seeded the defile days prior. No. 8 claymores, 7 IL-BIA C4 hex charges, daisy-chained across a 30-meter choke point, backblasted into kill webs. Command wires snaked 500 meters upslope to Harlan's overwatch. Trip flares prepped for runners. A 1969 MAC VSOG fusion intel brief details Aussie patrol prepped ambush grid, YS 512-623. Enemy armor column destroyed 0347 chars July 4th, confirmed via FAC Piper. At Aero 302, Vin's lead tank nosed the defile, treads pulverizing ferns. Claymore clicks echoed like judgment, 12 charges detonating in sequence, steel cubes scything at 1-200 ms. Lead PT-76 erupted in a fireball, turret blown skyward like a bottle rocket, crew vaporized. Chain reaction, second T-54's ammo cooked off, sympathetic blasts rippling the column. BTRs shredded, sappers pulped mid-debark. Vin's own tank slewed sideways, 100mm main gun traversing blindly as fragments pinged armor. Ambush! Reverse! He roared. But rearguards tangled in burning wrecks. From his hatch, shadows descended. SAS troopers rappelling lianas, suppressed SLRs coughing, drivers headshot through vision slits, sappers bayoneted in the inferno. Vin bailed, Tokarev blazing into the smoke, hitting only vines. A gloved hand yanked him into the muck, Fairbairn dagger at throat. "G'day, sunshine," Harlan growled. Aussie twang cutting the chaos. Captured alive, Vin watched his command dissolve. 8 tanks totaled, 142 dead wounded, 60 POWs herded for chopper exfil. SAS losses 0. Dawn B-52 strikes mopped remnants per USAF strike logs. Interrogated at Nui Dat, Vin cracked fast. Hanoi armor schedules, Sagar sites, fueling Operation Kingfisher sweeps. Captured NVA diaries from the wreck, translated in CIA files, echo the fracture. Armor kings brought low by jungle mice. Aussies no fight fair. They wait eternal strike gods. Vin's 5th Division stole 2 months. Tet-Tek dreams drowned in diesel fires. Paranoia peaked. Tank crews refusing night marches. Sappers scouting their own shadows. One sapper sergeant scribbled pre-death, "Yankees roar, we run. Aussies whisper, we die inside." This wasn't victory by volume. It was fear's alchemy, 4 spiders felling a tiger pride. SASR had pierced the iron veil, but whispers from the Ho Chi Minh's veins hinted at a grander lair. A VC shadow army massing for the war's savage pivot, where ghosts would face their darkest trial. August 22, 1968, the Ho Chi Minh Trail's southern artery pulsed with shadowed fury. 40 clicks northwest of Saigon, in the U Minh Forest's mangrove maze. Colonel Hoang Thi Lam, NVA 7th Division shadow orchestrator, hunched over a bamboo table in his command bunker. Kerosene lamp flickering like a dying star on map stained with monsoon. His hands, calloused from Haiphong docks to these fever swamps, trembled as he traced red arrows. 3,000 guerrillas, VC main force fused with sappers and sledgehammer NVA battalions, massed for Operation Nguyen Hue II, a dagger thrust to seize Baria province and choke the Allied lifeline at Vung Tau. From Hanoi directives smuggled in hollowed rice sacks, Lam knew the stakes: shatter the Aussie firebase at Nui Dat, trigger a domino of ARVN collapses, force Nixon's hand before the U.S. Elections turned the tide. Lam's breath caught at every rustle outside. Point men with Chicom carbines posted 50 meters out, Punji pits laced with mustard-dipped stakes. Tet's ghosts haunted him. Thuk's vanished platoon, An's pulped regiment, Vin's incinerated armor column. Captured Hoi Chan whispers, cross-checked against Politburo cables, painted the nightmare. Australian SAS, 4 devils per patrol, claymore gods who drink silence. Lam had doubled recon, tripled booby traps, even sacrificed a scout platoon to bait phantom. Nothing. From his bunker slit, the forest breathed malice, vines like serpents, air thick with rotting mangroves, and the sour tang of unwashed fear. One diary entry from his adjutant's pocket post-mortem, seized in a later raid per Australian Army History Unit files, confessed, "Colonel paces at night, pistol in hand, says shadows have eyes now. We fight not men, but the jungle's revenge. Scale the abyss. U.S. pacification was industrial carnage. Phoenix program death squads tallying 20,000 VC infrastructure via raids with barking dogs and Huey door gunners, backed by 500-pound daisy cutters stripping canopy for free fire zone. VC reposted with terror cells. Assassinations in Saigon cafes, 122 luminous rockets arcing from ox carts into Tan Son Nut. Predictable escalation. MayCV Intel tracked the spikes, countering with 2,000 ASLB iron butterfly bombs. But SASR patrols? Quantum needles in haystacks. Per declassified 3 SAS squadron logs from 1968, a 6-man team, call sign Viper 2, led by Captain Barry Fang Callahan, had blacked in via Loch Hilo on August 18, humping 70 clicks through flooded swamps, rubber dinghies deflated and cached. No footprints. They waded waist-deep, using elephant trails marked by dung pats, faces and gear coated in pig fat and charcoal to kill scent. Contrast pulverized Lam's iron will. American sweeps were migrating herds. 9th Infantry Division's Big Red One riverine force churning Mekong deltas with monitors and alligators, 105mm howitzers zeroed on grid squares from fire bases floating like steel islands. VC evaded with sampan ghosts melting into canals. SAS, predatory calculus. Observe, amplify doubt, strike existential. Viper 2 perched on a termite mound 800 meters from Lamb's lair, per Callahan's field journal, archived in Canberra. Enemy Div HQ confirmed. 3,000 EST, 50 trucks, captured U.S. deuce and a halves, 122 metri, 140 mi rocket park. Cadre meeting 2100 airs, AUG 23, Hanoi VIP inbound. They'd logged movements for 96 hours. Ammo pallets stacked like cordwood, sappers welding launchers, Lam himself chain-smoking Thais under a poncho, barking infill route. Lam's paranoia peaked August 22nd at 23:30. A flare pistol cracked downslope, his sentries signaling all clear, but silence answered. He grabbed his PPSH-41, scrambling topside. Intruders? Just wind. Yet Viper 2 had already acted. No direct assault. Too noisy. Instead, precision psyops fused with traps. Callahan's team seeded approach trails with welcome mats, daisy-chained M18 claymores, modified with extra skein wire for 360 coverage. Command detonated from a sniper perch, plus dud Bangalore torpedoes rigged as decoys to herd the enemy. SIGINT from Nui Dat fed real-time. R-115 bursts plotting Lam's masterstroke. A fused MAC VSOG report, declassified 2005, details the prep. Aussie Recce tags rocket serials YS-678912. Preps for interdiction. Dawn of the 23rd broke with Lam's offensive teetering. Lead battalion, 800 sappers in stolen U.S. fatigues, snaked toward assembly point. Trucks groaning under rocket. From Lam's CP, triumph swelled. Scouts reported Nui Dat blind. Then, at 0547, the defiled choke ignited. Viper 2's overwatch clicked remotes. 18 claymores blooming in choreographed hell. 7 little beat charges hurling 700 steel balls per, shredding the vanguard. Trucks erupting in fuel-air whooshes. Sappers eviscerated mid-march. Limbs festooning mangroves like jungle orange. Lam's radio exploded. Ambush! Australians! From trees! Panic chains. Rear elements stampeding into secondary traps. Bangalore blasts cratering roads. SAS SLRs picking officers through iron sights. Lam bolted for his escape tunnel. Pistol whipping a faltering radio. Shadows coalesced. Callahan's point man, Trooper Wraith Ellis, materialized from ferns. Garrote wire flashing. Lam fired wild, grazing a shoulder, but the noose tightened. Dragged alive to a concealed OP, he faced the ghost. Mud-caked faces, eyes feral under boonie hats. Rockets, Colonel. Launch codes. Now, Callahan rasped. Aussie burr laced with venom. Lam broke under the stare. Divisional orders, VIP manifests, fueling a task force strike that rolled the entire Shadow Army by noon. USAF F-105s pounced on tagged grids, per strike logs. 1,200 VC NVA KIA, 40 trucks ash. Lam's HQ, a smoldering pit. Captured in the aftermath, Lam's final journal note, CIA translation, Phoenix Files, wept. We built an army of ants. They sent spiders with thunderhearts. Yankees fight bodies. Aussies devour souls. Division 7 fragmented. Nguyen Hue 2 stillborn. Paranoia so deep, VC cadres refused massing altogether. SASR's fangs had pierced the shadow heart, but from Hanoi's frantic cables, a final abomination stirred. An elite NVA human wave juggernaut, armored and suicidal, aimed at extinguishing the ghosts forever. October 17, 1968, the iron pulse of Hanoi's vengeance thundered toward Nui Dat firebase under a blood moon, 5 clicks south in the razorback scrub of Phu Oc Tui's fevered spine. General Nguyen Van Toan, NVA 33rd Regiment commander, scarred veteran of Dien Bien Phu, with medals pinned like accusations to his tunic, clutched the periscope of his captured M113 APC. Sweat-stinging eyes, amid the roar of 4,000 boots and 200 tanks, churning forward in human wave fury. This was the abomination foretold. Operation Than Phong, 6,000 elite fanatics fused from 7th Division remnants and Fresh Trail infiltrators. Wave after wave, backed by T-55s and 130mm Type 59 guns. Sappers laced with C4 vests for suicidal bunker breaches. Toan's orders burned from Politburo cables. Extinguish the Australian ghosts. Overwhelm Nui Dat. Bleed the task force white. Force Yankee retreat before Paris talks seal our doom. Waves of khaki-clad hordes screamed, Chung Fong! Charge! Bayonets fixed. RPG-7s slung. Trampling punji fields they'd sown themselves to mask the blitz. From Toan's rattling command track, paranoia clawed deeper than ever. Lam's shadow army pulverized. Vin's tigers torched. An's regiment paced. Each a SAS scalpel. Captured interrogations, smuggled to his CP in bloodied satchels, echoed the dirge. 4 shadows with claymore gods. They do not charge. They wait in your breath. Toan had armored the assault. T-55's 150mm cannons zeroed on Firebase wire, BTR-152s disgorging sappers under smoke pots, but his gut knotted at every shadow. Scouts tripled, dogs from Hanoi kennels straining leashes, yet nothing. One adjutant's diary, ripped from a corpse post-LAM raid, per CIA Phoenix program transcript, declassified 1987, warned, "General sleeps with grenade pin in mouth, dreams of dingoes in the wire. Scale the cataclysm, U.S." Doctrine was Apocalypse Engine, 1st Australian Task Force fused with 173rd Airborne, firebases ringed by 500-yard kill zones of M60 bunkers, Claymore belts, and 105mm howitzers thumping counterbattery. Arc-light B-52s loomed on station, 750 lb M117s carpeting grids in ripple salvos. VCNVA countered with human avalanches. K-Sun's 20,000 Marines versus 100,000 assault waves, bodies piled as ramps for the next. Predictable meat grinders, body counts soared but will eroded. SASR, inverted alchemy. Per 2nd Commando Squadron wore diaries archived in Canberra, released 1995. A 16-man troop, Reaper Flight, split into four-man fangs under Major Keith Shade Donovan, had forward deployed August 10th, shadowing trailheads via Mohawk OV-1 patrols. They'd humped 90 clicks inland, caching rubber boats in flooded nullahs, observing Toan's buildup for 30 days. Ammo dumps tallied at 500 tons, tank parks sketched with azimuths, Toan's CP flagged by his personal gas jeep with red star fender. Contrast eviscerated Tone's gamble. American defenses were fortresses. Nui Dat's 8,000-man perimeter with roam plows, stripping 20-acre buffers, sensor strings beeping intruder pings to Pine Gap satellites, Cobras orbiting with 2.75-inch rockets. NVA breached with mass. First wave 2,000 sappers overwhelming wire, second 2,500 RPG teams flanking, armor third wave punch. But Reaper Flight had metastasized doubt. Donovan's fangs seeded the assault corridors weeks prior. No frontal claymores, too obvious. Instead, spider grids, M18A1s buried in chevron patterns along hogbacks. Command wires spider-webbed 2 clicks to overwatch OPs, fused with toe poppers, M14 mines, to cripple runners. SIGINT from Coral Bomb listening posts fed vectors, R115 spikes on ghost hunt frequency. A fused AATF intel summary, declassified 2010, logs it. Enemy reject massing YS234567. Reaper preps interdiction, 0 friendlies in AO. At ZO234, Tone's horde hit the anvil. First wave surged wire under Bangalore ladders, screams piercing the barrage, mortars from Nui Dat arcing red tracers. Success, 400 breached, torching hooches with Molotovs. Tone keyed the net. Forward, ghosts die tonight. His APC lurched behind T-55's grinding bunkers. Then, the defile upstream ignited. Reaper Fang 1, perched on Hill 72, clicked remotes. 36 claymores in cascade, 25 Lelub charges vomiting 7,000 steel cubes across 400-meter fronts, shredding second-wave battalions mid-flank. Bodies pulped into red mist. RPG teams decapitated before firing. Panic rippled. Survivors stampeding into Fang 2's toe poppers, feet shredded, crawling into kill sacks where suppressed L2A1A1s whispered headshots. From Tone's viewport, no thunder, just voids, tanks slewing blindly, treads snapping on buried number 69 grenade, turrets traversing empty air. Phantoms, pull back, Tone roared. But Reaper Fang 3 closed the noose. Commandos rappelling from razor wire overhangs, Fairbairn daggers flashing in sappers' throats, garrots claiming RPG gunners, T-55s brewed up in chain infernos, white phosphorus from Nui Dat Ilum rounds painting the Toan's track bogged in corpse-choked mud, hatch flung as shadows swung. Donovan himself, boonie hat low, gloved fist cracking his jaw. End of the line, General, the Aussie growled, eucalyptus chew on his breath. Dragged to a hogback OP amid the charnel, Toan watched his juggernaut dissolve. 2,800 KIA WIA, 1,200 POWs herded for 120 vehicles smoldering hulks. Reaper losses, 2 wounded. Dawn F4 strikes on tag dumps per USAF logs vaporized the rest. Interrogated under Donovan's flint gaze, Tone shattered. 33rd Regiment rosters, Hanoi resupply manifests, igniting task force sweeps that gutted the trail's southern vein. Captured Politburo cables, seized in the mop-up Australian National Archives, lamented, ghosts unbroken, human waves to spiders, what avails mass? 33rd evaporated into ghost cells. Nixon's Paris gambit bolstered. War's pivots. In the jungle's eternal ledger, Nguyen Van Toan's horde proved the ancient truth. Numbers forge rivers, firepower thunders storms, but precision fear, wielded by unseen hands, carves empires from shadows. Armies conquer land, phantoms conquer eternity. The Viet Cong feared the Australian SS most because in war's savage heart, silence slays louder than 1,000 guns.